Boards. Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about mostly. Board games, board games, I'm not gonna shout for sure. I am starting off this morning with this little bit of singing. And now you don't have to wait if you want to hear about my state. This is called the state of bears, and it's a topic that I might resurrect. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Board games, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, and good morning, Matt. It is lovely to see you. I am Bez. It is, if you are in Australia or New Zealand, it is approximately bedtime. I am going to be blethering about board games, but in a slightly more scripted and less blethering fashion. Today is going to be the State of Bez talk, and yeah, that's going to be it. I'm going to talk about, I actually have written a bunch of notes today, which is quite unusual. And good morning, Alan. Today in this talk, I'm going to be talking about games I publish, games that I'm involved in that other people publish, other stuff which involves content creation, streaming, books, websites, a little bit about my personal life, and then a little bit about the other people helping me, like Chris, Layla, Denham, and Jason. So, before all of that, let me get into brilliant things. What's a little thing which is brilliant? So I'm going to talk about two brilliant things today in honor of what I'm doing. Basically, those two brilliant things are firstly reflection and secondly planning. So reflection, it allows us a chance to look back at the what's gone on, and that's exactly what I'm doing, to kind of maybe learn from it, think about what went well, what didn't go so well, and planning to kind of say, okay, it's not, I am going to work hard. I'm going to work as hard as I can, but I'm also going to try and think about what specifically I want to do. Now let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sides. Recent highlights. I would like to share, if I can find it quickly enough, a few, there we go. A few pictures. So firstly, check it out, some bunting. I was walking around and then I saw this bunting. It was lovely, gorgeous. Check out that sunset and check this out, a rainbow just after a drizzle of rain, and a flower in a tin. What's that all about? People doing lovely things. And Dominic Krabashets, that was a great talk. I really enjoyed that. And this was my dinner. And just generally folk joining in my stream, garlic for breakfast, all the games. It was actually a generally good day. So thank you to everyone who made it as good as it was, And I would like to say once again, as always, feel free to comment, ask questions, and do that fun-like follow. I will try to get to all questions. Now, let me move on to the Wibble++ Deluxe. So this is a thing that I printed, and we're going back slightly more than a year. I might in future do this every 6 months or every 12 months on the dot, but this is the first state of Bez that I've done. I thought it should be a regular thing. And this one, I kickstarted it. I got it printed in time for UK Games Expo. There are hardly any copies left, and it sold out. I think people have enjoyed it. I'm very proud of what it was. And this is going to be the last ever L deck with multiple games in it, probably for quite a while. I will get to that, but yeah, people enjoyed it. I think that was a success overall. We also have Kitty Cataclysm. which has been a success, that has sold out as well, and I need to reprint that. I will get to that in a minute. Games from other people. We've had Seize the Power. So I didn't know exactly where to put this in the past or in the future. So Seize the Power with Tiz, we started working on it in August. It was a public thing. Got it together for Festival. Got it playtested along the way. It was being playtested at Aircon. And then, yeah, it's been signed up by Inside the Box, so that's a success. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'm excited to do a couple of private playtests before we get a magnetic map and everything to make it public. We're going to start soliciting people for a lot of playtests over the next, 12, 18, 24 months. And it is so Seize the Power, it's a game about discrimination, subjugation of power, and negotiation. It's all about the rules which so that's the best box that I have for that is in here, where you can see some of the cards. So here we go. Some of the cards that Tiz and I drew for the last prototype. All of these rules you can see are incredibly unfair. For example, if you've got 10 or more eyeballs, you gain 5 money on your turn. That gives you an inkling into what kind of game it is, and then it's up to you whether you enforce those rules or not. So the next one, Challenging Structures with Sarah Jury. This was a game that I did for King's College London, and it was due to go live in March, but pandemic happened, and it is now due to go live in 2021, maybe? We'll see what happens. That is a game for 40 people in one single room, a relatively small room with 5 or 6 people around each table, possibly up to 8. And yeah, all interacting and all learning about how different laws could contribute to different feelings in terms of gender. And it's a game that could be triggering for some people. It's a game with we had an academic who was providing inputs, which was very useful into the different laws. I forgot their name, but yeah. This is moving a little bit into the future, a 2-player game with surprise tier games. We'll come on to that because that's from the future. So finally, penultimately, Yogi Guru, it has been printed. There's the French version, there's the English version, which there's many copies of on my website if you want. And Yogi continues to go into more languages. For example, this is Spanish. I think, I'm fairly sure that's Spanish. Yeah. And yeah, it's continuing to sell well. I'm really still proud of what I made with it. And I'm also proud of the Yogi Stock Guru, which I made with Xate, a kind of economic subversion. And we are hoping to submit that to Festival next year. The final game from the past, year, which I'd like to talk about, is Dice and Ink. This roll and write anthology, you can, my own game, Flowers Over Towers, it's all about, so it just uses one sheet, which is slightly unusual for roll and write games. It's an area control, you're drawing your flowers, you're working upwards and trying to take over these abandoned buildings with your plants. And so that is the way that works. So yes, Bear's Surprise Terror mashup. It was, yeah, I'll get into that in a moment. And thank you that's lovely to hear. So that is games from the past. Now let me move into other stuff. So I'm mainly focusing on the successes, because it would be so easy to focus on, oh, this could be better, but I don't want to get bogged down in that. I think that with me, I have a somewhat perfectionist nature, so it would be so easy to be like, okay, I made this small typo on this game. Okay, that card could be better. But I did a Kickstarter for Kitty Cataclysm stickers, which can be seen here. I delivered them, and people generally seem to enjoy them, which is lovely. That is now something that you can buy from my web shop. And I printed, I want to say 4,000 of 4 of them and 6,000 of a different 4. So the ones that I printed more of, it was something that I'll be giving away more easily, kind of. Whilst if you get a package from me, you might get a little cat-ass trophy in there, because I want to have little stickers to kind of say thank you for being a customer, thank you for, you know, supporting me, thank you for following me on this journey. And so hopefully that's something that I can do. And also to people who are backing my next Kickstarter, or people who backed Categorickell, to just say, hey, thank you very much for this, or people who back the Kitty Cataclysm Kickstarter, which will be coming up. I'm getting out of order. So stickers, I did a Kickstarter, I delivered that. I ran a Categorickell Kickstarter. I'm still working on it. I said that it would be done by January. I still hope it will be done by January. We will have to see. Streaming, I have done almost 4 months of daily streaming on this channel. On my Facebook, you can see that there is BBBB, like literally every day for so many days, except for yesterday when I was streaming on the UK Games Expo channel. But I did stream on this channel anyway, like later in the afternoon. Basically, I've learned so much. I've got now a stand where I can have like a table cam, and yes, there's a lot of issues with it. Yes, sometimes the camera goes off, but I feel like I have jumped up, and so I'm quite proud of that, and I feel like people are generally enjoying it. Conventions, let's talk about conventions. There's been fewer conventions than usual over the past year. Oh, when I first wrote this, I was just thinking 2020. But so yeah, let's think about over the past year. We had Tabletop Scotland. That was a lovely one. We had Tabletop Scotland is always a lovely thing up in Perth, and it's a shame it's not happening now. And we had Essen, where I went, and that was a good success. I sold out of everything that I brought, and I came back with hardly anything because I just gave stuff to shops in exchange for future money, and then I got the money, which was good. I did, last year, I did the Gen Con satellite event, which was in Fanboy Free. My first time going over there was play testing and playing with the Pauls, Alan and Charlie Paul. Lovely time. I worked in drafts for a wee bit. Nuremberg Toy Fair, I really want to get into the Nuremberg Toy Fair. Cannes, that was such a good convention. That's something that I go to where I don't have my own stand, but I help out Jigamic a little bit. I had a couple of business meetings, and Bastion. Now, the last physical convention I have been to was in Aircon. And Aircon was probably, it might well be the biggest convention in the UK this year. I mean, anyone who says it's the biggest convention, you know, worldwide, I mean, Cannes was bigger. Come on. Anyway, so, as I don't want to get bogged down in, you know, which was bigger. That's not the point. We've had virtual conventions. I went to ScaledCon the weekend after Expo. I went to, you know, Condemic, run by Donald Dennis. I've been to the Protospiel Online, and now this one, Virtually Expo. It's been really interesting, and this is something that I'm going to explore in a future episode of BBBB. And I don't enjoy online conventions as much, but to quote Peter Atkinson from yesterday, it is something, and we all want something. And so it is really good that these things exist. Now that's my conventions. Let's talk a little bit about my personal life in the past. So firstly, I went to Nuremberg, and while I was at Nuremberg, I realized that realistically, there isn't a financial future for me in self-publishing. This is just the way it is. Looking at the budget, the marketing, the potential reach of other companies like Gigamic, like Hub Games, like Green Board Games Company, I don't think right now I think that I'm better placed to make games and then start licensing them to other people. And I did show a few games. I've got a couple of things that I can't really talk about yet. But because I will talk about all my own stuff as much as you want. Any questions for my own stuff, I will answer. But anything that involves, for example, financial details of what another company is paying me, or the arrangements that I have with another company, that might potentially be private, and it might not be something that I want to say. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Anyway, so going back to Nuremberg, I realized that realistically, the way for me to continue doing this and to make money is to make good games, sell some of those games to other companies. So hopefully something like Plus, I might be able to get that to another company, and then something like the L deck, keep that with myself, a game where a new bladder, continue working on that and just treat it almost like a vanity project. And that's what I've decided to start considering stuff by Bez. I am now in a privileged position, and I'm not rich by any means. I wouldn't even say I was particularly well off, but thanks to this game, I know I'm going to be able to afford to pay my rent for at least the next year right now. This is an incredible position to be in. I know that not everyone is in the same position, and I am even in a position where I can afford to bring on other people like Chris and to help me with things. I hope, yeah. Morning, Alex. I've just halfway through the background of this. So I had a little bit of some epiphanies last week, for which Alex and Xate were present. To summarize, I need to dream. I need to show, even though my dreams and my expectations might be different, I need to be realistic in my expectations, but I need to dream and hope as big as I can. I need to show gratitude because there are lovely people around me. Thank you, Alan and Matt and Alex and Green Day fan. I don't know who you are, but thank you for watching and supporting me, and everyone else who's watching. Thank you. And yeah, I want to show gratitude and show love, and also especially to those who are closest to me, to lovely Jess from Thailand, and there are wonderful people, and I think that these are things that we can all learn, hopefully. I mean, you already do these things. The final thing that I need to do is to rein in my ego. It is sometimes big. Generally, life has been okay. There have been some house conflicts. There have been some health scares, but I think that we're in a generally good place. I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling relatively positive about the future, and I feel like I'm in a place of acceptance of what's going on, if you know what I mean. Now, other besties. So I would not be able to do what I do without playtesters, without people who back my Kickstarters. And I want to give a special shout out to Jason for helping me get organized since October and being a wonderful volunteer generally for all the conventions, Chris for recently and committing to take at least one day off a week from their main job that they've now returned to help me with stuff. And I'm really excited to have them on board. They also help me with videos now, with graphics, with brainstorming. Layla helping me test stuff. Alan Oughton asks, has lockdown opened up other potentially successful routes for you at all? I'm thinking of things like video streaming, perhaps. It depends what you mean by successful. Financially successful? No, not really. I put up a print and play edition of Kitty Cataclysm and the L deck, and I've had like 2 people who've gotten it, even though I priced it at 50 pence for the low quality. I should say that the normal price is £1, but just for now it is quite a bit cheaper. I definitely see these as other advertising routes. I mean, it's definitely something where in a couple of months, this is something that I almost forgot to put down for the future, the conventions, I'll get into that. And I see these streams, my daily streams, not as something that I'm ever going to be able to monetize, realistically speaking, but as something where maybe I learn from people. Like, certainly it was great for me to have Tabletopia on, and that was another success, getting Kitty Cataclysm onto Tabletopia. So if you look at the Kitty Cataclysm Facebook group, I should also put it on the Kickstarter page just to let people know. But yeah, basically you can now play this game on Tabletopia. It's not as good as playing it in real life, but you get a good feel of it. I feel like the streaming, I'm learning from people. I'm learning from Mark from Tabletopia, from Ella, talking about reviews and stuff. I'm having these conversations that have been keeping my mental health going. As we come out of lockdown, I think that probably I'm going to keep these streams going, although they might go down from currently. They tend to be between 1 hour and 2 hours. I think that in a year, if I'm still doing them, then when there's a convention, it might be, okay, here's like a 20 minutes, me running through the convention hall. And here's like, okay, I'm going to chat to people on a Friday. Like, it'll be like, oh, here's a Friday just to say hello and just to say it's a bit of a bladder and this is how things are. Like, maybe Friday will almost be my weekly wrap up, because once I'm back able to go to Royal Festival Hall, why would I be, I mean, it sounds really harsh, like why would I be engaging with, but like I'd like to spend a little bit of time to keep it as a daily thing, because that feels like a really nice thing to kind of every day at 10 a.m. UK time there is something here. But yeah, I see it more as advertising, and I hate it is kind of advertising the brand. That is what it is. It is me saying, hey, remember, I'm a person who's able to think in a creative way. Remember, I'm a person who knows somewhat what they're talking about, hopefully. I'm a person who makes good games. And we've got a bunch of L games and, sorry, that was the wrong box, L games and Kitty Cataclysm and Yogi. And so, like, obviously, when I do a stream and then I do a stream of my top 5 L games, or when I do a stream that's dedicated to something like that, of course, that is advertising. And that's how I see things going, not as the bulk of what I'm doing, but as an ancillary, hey, we're doing this for marketing kind of thing. So that is that. The last group that I want to thank is obviously like all the media peeps, like Matt, who kind of, and everyone else there who I'm just not going to start naming names. I only named Matt because I see them in the comments. All the people who are, talking about my games and sharing that information. I know that, yeah, we had a few people at Aircon playing Flip and Spell, which I'm quite proud of. And yeah, people who share those press releases, who kind of say, hey, this is something that's cool, who take a look at the games and then share their opinions. I really appreciate that, because that is how I don't really have the cash to do big advertising budgets. And so that is how people find out about the game. So thank you very much. I think that's true of most board game companies. Now let's talk about the future. Future. Okay. Did I talk about the 2020 contest style deck designers? I definitely wanted to talk about them. I've got some notes. I think I totally missed that. But thank you to everyone. Thank you to Jeremy Norton, who made Shuffle and Reassemble. And thank you to Xate and Alex, who made Actionable. Thank you to Andrew January, so Shuffle, it's a nice drafting idea. Reassemble, it's like a one-player game where you're reassembling things from all being letters into suits. Actionable, it's a mashup of In a Bind and the L deck. No Evil, which was a digital thing that was an amazing idea, but it didn't quite work, where one person's muted, one person's deafened, and one person is blinded. They just turned their screen off, basically. And finally, Bezel, which was also a lovely idea, with Making Up Brilliant Things by Alan Oughton. And so these 5 games, we've looked at, I want to say 12 games, and these 5 games were the ones that didn't quite make the cut. And thank you to all the designers who I'm not able to name, because there are 7 other games that are going through to the next round, plus 4 that we still have to look at. There's so much ingenuity in these games, where some of them multiple of them don't use words at all, which I always love, because I would love to have more games for the L deck that do not use words, because it's not just about words. And you've got something which is kind of like, hey, that's my fish, Battle Sheep, where you're trying to strand other people. Invisible, which is like kind of search and find. Funazel, which was kind of a trick-taking game where you're making sets like Chinese poker. Bidel, really clever, and what you bid with is what you're bidding on the next time. Pyramidel, drafting game. Draftable, also drafting game. Tripel, which was a nice gin rummy style thing. Then we've got, looking forward to playing Unescapable, a movement thing. Listable, which is a 2-player cooperative listing game. Defnell, which is a social deduction game. And Decryptable, which is all about guessing where cards are or what a secret word is. And it's thank you to everyone who, and thank you, and I would like to invite everyone, once they have been revealed, once their kind of standing has been determined, to come on and join me for one of these streams. I would like to talk a little bit about how I see the contest happening going forward this year. By the middle of this month, I hope we will have played everything. I will have decided a top 10 or less. By October, we have determined a top 5 or less, ideally. November, a top 2 or 3, and December, a top 1. Now, I've had someone asking me, why should it take so long? And this is to anyone who's struggling with waiting, to explain why I am taking so long about this, is because fundamentally, I want to play it with more folk and play it many times. In the first year, in 2018, I played all the games. We were going to Friday daytime playtests. I was going to the Monday evening playtests. I was going to a Sunday playtest. Oh my God, there was so much playtesting going on in person, which was brilliant, because playing in person is still different. And I don't think it's fair to play one of these games online when it's designed for optimal play in person, if that makes sense. And then going to all these other conventions, going to the Gen Con, which was they kind of had satellite events. So one of them was in Manchester in Fanboy Free, and I was there for 3 solid days and just getting to play a bunch of things with people. And I went to other events, and when I was in Tabletop Scotland, I played all the ones that were like, okay, these are my top few. And by the end of Tabletop Scotland, I was fairly clear that, okay, Categorickell is going to be the winner. This year, because of obvious reasons, playtesting is a little bit more difficult. I am hoping that by the end of the year, we will be in a position where I can play all the best games, like those kind of top 2 or 3 that I'm really thinking about with a lot of different people. It shouldn't be just my opinion. It shouldn't be just David Brain or Andrew Dennison or Jason Hodgson or Chris's opinion. Although these are going to be my assistant judges, it should be fundamentally down to what is the best, what is most fun for people in general, what is accessible, what do people want to play again, and what is different from the existing L games. Now, what's different? I'm well placed to say that, but all the other stuff, other people can give me information. And so that's why I want to spend the time that these games deserve. And I'm sorry to all the things that were dropped. It's not saying that your game is bad. It's just saying that your game, as it currently is not top 5 material right now. And I would like to build, I'd like to do 3 things. I'd like to also, with these games, with some of them, like Invisibel and Bidel and Funazel, and I'm not going to, with all of these games like that are still in the running, I would like to keep playing them because, okay, you enjoyed it the first time, you enjoyed it the second time. What happens the 10th time you play it? I want a headline game for the deck to be something that you enjoy time after time after time. And if you play it, if you enjoy it, you would still be enjoying it for many years to come. That is the kind of standard that I want that winner to be. And how can I determine that without giving it due consideration? And so thank you to everyone. I'm glad that you've enjoyed coming up with it. And thank you, Alex, for Actionable. I'm sorry that Actionable, I've decided over the past couple of days, it's not quite top 5 material. It has been cut, but thank you for that submission. Would love to have you on, you and Xate, to talk about the process of you making that. And yeah, I think that, yeah, hopefully everything that I've said makes sense. Please ask any questions if anything does not make sense. Okay, so I wanted to quickly talk about Categorickell Unfinishable. Oh yeah, Categorickell, it was really obvious straight away. Unfinishable, even though I had all that playtesting accessible to me, it did actually come down to 2 games. It came down to Unfinishable and Tabla Batel. Followable, we renamed it, because Tabla Batel is a terrible name. So Followable and Unfinishable were the top 2, in my opinion. It was basically, every year it's going to be different. Some years it will be like, okay, this is a clear winner. Some years it will be like, okay, whoa, it could be any of these 5. Some years it will be like, okay, it's one of these 2. And it's just the nature of it. And Unfinishable, we played it quite a bit. And I think that in the first year, it was basically just me. In the second year, I asked Tom Cauldron and David Brain. They all wrote their opinions. It was really helpful and really useful. This year, I'm basically saying that everyone who is a previous winner is a judge. And everyone who is a judge, because you're judging, you can't win, obviously. And the other thing that I want to talk about, which was something that David Brain talked to me quite a bit about, is that we need to start having a process for, okay, these 5 months of the year, August, September, October, November, December, we focus on finding out the best game from the contest winner and developing them and playing them. Now, it's possible that I should continue having like a stream, maybe not every week, but every month or something, testable. And that testable at the start of next year could be about continuing to explore ideas with the games that won or the games that didn't win, like maybe the game as it's pushing towards iteration to being the 10th core game, headline game, sorry, I started calling them, but also being about games that have been submitted through other means, maybe a game by David Brain or a game by Andrew Dennison or whoever, a game by all these other people who now are ineligible because they've shown that they are able to make good games. Let's have a process for going through those other games. I want to talk, sticking with these games, I want to talk about what I'm going to work on. I want to talk briefly about Categorickell. This is not the final drawings. This is probably actually a better deed than the one that I have on the cards. Oh, sorry, now you're seeing how unprepared I am. Here are the cards. So we've got a little deck. This is black and white just because I'm checking out the letter shapes. And we've been playing with this. I'm going to continue working on it. Once I'm happy with the actual shapes of the letters and the placement of all the things, then I'm going to redraw all the letters in full color. It is going to look something like this. It's going to be warm colors at the front, cool colors as a shadow, tilting in two different directions with the border in the back, and the numbers will be slightly more visible. So the numbers, there's 6 N's and there's 5 D's. That is approximately how it will look, like that, or indeed like that, the first one that I showed. The colors, again, I'm going to play around with, and there will be some experimentation. I want this to look amazing. I'm going to be working with Chris to make this as good as it can possibly be. And yeah, going forwards, I'm going to be working with more and more people. I'm having Chris continue to work for me at least one day, at least like 10 hours a week, and possibly pushing that up a little bit depending on how things work out. I wanted to talk quickly, if I share my screen, about Coupell. So this is the grand reveal. For those who don't know, there is a deck, 4DL deck, which I have not been working on. Let's see if this is, hey, here we go. So hopefully you'll see that. That is an A that was drawn by Miles Atkinson. This is the SB. So this gives you an idea. Ignore the numbers. So this is the process that we went into to work out the exact letter shapes, and it's probably going to look a little bit like that as the letter shapes, but every letter will be painted in watercolor to represent scenes from nature. To, yeah, that is what's going to happen with Coupell. Just to share the other screen, hopefully you can see this. Whoops, I can't. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this screen is Miles's testing thing. So this is the equivalent of this, and we played this. There were some small tweaks that had to be made to some of the letters, but Miles is continuing to work on this, and this is going to be the next deck after the Categorickell deck. So this is going to be all nature themed, all with little leaves instead of abstract suits. So all based on different types of things. And I'm glad you like it. So yeah, Miles Atkinson has done a great job, and you can actually check out their stuff. I'm just going to share a quick link to Miles's Twitch in case you want to check them out. They do mainly pixel art. This is kind of like a project that they are doing on the side, I'm paying them a royalty similar to what a designer might get. Basically, an upfront fee plus a percentage of every deck sold. And that is something that I want to move forward to having more and more people being part of this. I want to have more games. I mean, Categorickell, the deck is going to be based on none of the, well, the rules were developed by me. I kind of wrote some of the words, but that game was by Tom Cauldron. So I'm kind of moving to a place where the L deck is kind of a bigger thing. And oh, I'm glad that you like it. And so that is going to be the next deck. After that, I do want to reveal, quickly So first, I wanted to talk briefly about a website because I'm aware that my website is basically non-existent. My website is currently just a Google directory. That is something that we need to get on top of. That's going to be something that we get on top of in the next 6 months. I want a day when you, and hi CD, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for popping in. So I want a day when someone pops into the website, and I've seen some amazing websites for selling clothes. Now, obviously, clothes are a bigger business, I think, than board games. But there's no reason, I don't think, that I couldn't have the same searchability. So I'm going to have like a website. Once I'm like, okay, here's at least, 26 rules that I've rewritten, and we're basically going to be at that point by the end of this year. And hey, on this website, you will be able to say, okay, how long a game, how many players are you? Boom, we are 3 players, or I am just 1 player on my own, or we are 5 players, whatever. Then it's like, okay, how wordy can it be? And it would be like any, or very wordy, or no words at all, or some words. And then like, how difficult can it be? And what minimum age range recommended? So like, some of them are for 3+, some of them are more for like adults, like especially Coupell. I would kind of, and that's a recommendation. It's not like there's any offensive material in any of these games. It's just like Coupell. If you gave it to 2 8-year-olds, that would be a really hard game for them to play. Now, I want to have a really nice searchable website where you go and you are able to say, okay, this is the kind of game I want. And then it says, hey, this is the game for you. Similarly, I want to have a book where it's probably a paperback, because, money. Then you flick through and it's just the top 26 games, in my opinion, that use the L deck and nothing more. At the end, there might be, okay, here's some other games in case you've got a few tokens or things like that. Because I personally would far prefer reading a book and having a book to take with me on holiday. And then imagine you've got like a deck and you've got a book. That would be a really nice thing. Now, after that, I'm going to make a mini version for Mickle and Muckle. I want to have like 4 decks, tiny little things like this size, half the card size, in a box, and 4 of them for the cost of, I don't know, like £30, something like that. So it's going to be really small decks. This is going to be where, okay, you get, because Many a Mickle Makes a Muckle is a game where you can play with as many people as you have decks. And so I don't want to force people to buy the full-sized thing if they just want to play this game. So it's like, okay, let's have that. Let's have a giant version for Phrasal. Let's have, letter shapes with pictures woven in for Fable, where it's got like, okay, on the sea, it's got like a cat, it's got a cauldron, it's got these story-based elements to give you inspiration. Let's have a Daedalus Muertos version. Let's have, all sorts of just colorful versions, like one that's just big, thick paint strokes. And then the standard version, which, sorry for reaching over you, this might come back as the alphabetical version. The almost standard, not standard, let's call it the original typeset. And so that's what I want to move towards, like a world in which every year I'm releasing 2 decks, that there's a couple of new things to look forward to, that some of these decks, they might be, okay, people liked it, but it wasn't the favorite. Okay, I'll let that sell out. Some of them, it might be, okay, people really liked this look. This worked really well, so I'm going to bring it back as the alphabetical, and I'll probably try to keep this in stock at some point. There will generally be a couple of different ones in stock, is my thingy. And yeah, and CD, just to explain to you, when I'm talking about finding games to suit your needs, I'm talking about games just for the L deck, because we have reached a point where, just looking at the website, how many games were submitted? There's been 43. And how many games have I invented? Probably about 50. And so we are reaching a point where it's not about is there a good L game for you? It's about how can you find the good L games? And that's why I really need to work on the website. So that is how that's going to come back into stock. Let's talk about Kitty Cataclysm. Kitty Cataclysm, I am going to do a 2nd edition. Obviously, Categorickell is the top priority right now. Afterwards, Kitty Cataclysm will come back. I will change about 3 numbers on it, because some of the cards could, having seen hundreds of games, basically, well, one of them was miswritten. 2 of them, I got feedback and was like, you know what? Having played a lot more games than I was able to play before it was released, I actually agree with you. That should be a 2 rather than a 3. You are correct. And so I'm going to make a couple of small tweaks and make some big branding changes to the background, make it so that the box just looks a little bit nicer. That's going to be coming out as soon as I possibly can. After that, I'm looking forward to getting the superpowers out, which are double-sided cards where you've got Puss Wayne, and then Puss Wayne turns into Batcat. And then you've got, someone else, like Clark Cat turns into Super Cat. And, on their normal human side, it's a really mediocre ability. But then on the superpower side, it's this amazing ability. And unlike the personality cards, which were do this, it goes away, it keeps flip-flapping back and forth. And with these superpowers, it totally changes the game, because you can never finish the game by running out of cards in hand. So it actually lengthens it quite a bit. You will always run through the deck. And so that changes the game quite a bit. That will be coming... Realistically, this is like an optimistic expectation, and the reason that I don't want to give too many deadlines is because I am but one person. So there were not, well, the 2nd edition, there will be duplicates of most of the cards, but the superpowers deck will be just a very small 7-card expansion. So this 7-card expansion will totally change the game, as I said. So realistically, the 2nd edition might, if everything goes perfectly, again, this is if everything goes perfectly and I have energy every single day and Chris helps out as much as I would like, then we will get 2nd edition maybe out by the end of the year, same as Categorickell. And then the superpowers would be, would do a Kickstarter for that around the time that the 2nd edition actually goes out. I hope that makes sense. I wanted to talk about Plus. Plus is a game. For those who don't know it, let me give you a very, very quick explanation. And I think I'm going to have to do my old-fashioned shimmy this along the table. Clear the breakfast bowl out of the way, and boom, 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 boom. Okay, so in Plus, you flip over a card. this tells you what you're looking for, and this tells you this is where you're counting. So here you're counting the red or black triangles. They're 0, so I would say 0, and I take this. Now here, someone would say 1, because there's one circle, which is what you've got to count. But I would say 3, because just like Quibble, every time you collect a card, well, let's say they were first. Every time you collect a card, you have to add all those other things. So here I would say 3, because all the red things, 1, 2, and 3. And that is plus and 4. Boom. And once you get to 5, 7. And maybe someone else is slapped before you. And so, yeah, when you get to the double things that ask you to count 2 things, or, yeah, then it gets quite a bit harder. Now, Plus is a game that I've been working on for a while. It has gotten some positive reviews already based on last Essen when I was showing it off. I was hoping to have it on Kickstarter already, but, 2020. Realistically, right now, Kitty Cataclysm and Categorickell have to be my top priority. After that, I do need to think about how am I going to do things going forwards. And that brings me to a small announcement of my intention to sometimes do what I might call tuck box games. For those who don't know, what is a tuck box? A tuck box is something like this. Now you've got the top that literally tucks in. Sorry, it's a bit, the lighting isn't great. Does that, as opposed to this, which is a nice telescopic 2-piece box. Now, the reason to do tuck boxes is purely to do with cost. I am considering doing a series of games where, okay, we've got some games that I think are quite good, like the poetry game. I think that's a really strong idea. And we've got some matching games and some tuck box games. These aren't going to be the versions of the games that I try to push into any bigger shops. Like, I do hope that once I reprint Kitty Cataclysm, it might be something that other retailers, like even John Lewis, might take a look at. But these small tuck box games are basically going to be, hey, this is a game idea. I'm going to sell it to you at the cheapest price that I can afford, which is going to be something like, it will be less than £10. If you're within the UK, it will be less than £10. That's all I can say for sure. I'm expecting £9. I'm hoping for £8, but we will have to see. Anyway, so with these small tuck box games, it's a case of maybe there will be 1 or 2 of them coming out over the next year, but I will be doing the art in a more rapid style. It will be like, okay, this is the first edition, and then all of this art will never be redone. So it's kind of like how In a Bind or In a Bind Junior, they started off with different things. And I've got some people who say, yeah, I really like the L deck, the tree. So I'll kind of try to put some sort of graphics. Yeah. So I'm trying to put some sort of graphics up there that wouldn't be repeated. So, and bye-bye CD, it's lovely to see you. So this brings me to my conclusion. It's not enough for me to just tell you these are the games that I plan to publish. These are the games that I didn't get into, the Surprise Terror game. It is a 2-player game. It's quite thoughtful. It takes about 20 to maybe 20 minutes per round, and you play it 3 times, and your cards kind of continue from one round to the next. And so, that is something that I'm excited to get out to people. It's kind of, it used to be called and it's definitely not going to be called this, but it used to be called, yo dog, I heard you like moving gnomes. So move a gnome to move a gnome to move a gnome to maybe remove a tile, because you move a little piece here to move a little piece here, and then where this is determines where this little piece moves, and then if these two things match, then you remove the tile. And it's all about gathering up stuff. I was going to have a design meeting with Alan Paul and stay at their house for a few days, but earlier in the year I got a bit down, and so we didn't do that. We just kind of played other games instead, and we kind of we chatted about other stuff, but we were going to do it like in March, but then, pandemic happened. And so that is something that once we're able to meet up, that's going to be something, it's not been properly released, but Alan's okay with me sharing information. I've double checked with them. We're hoping for an Essen 2021 release. I know this is way ahead in the future. This is crazy for me to be mentioning it, but it's just like something to look forward to. And again, challenging structures. Hopefully that's going to happen. And Yogi Stock Guru, hopefully that will be continued to work on. I'm not I've got a couple of games that I'm working on that might have my name not actually on them, but I will point to them when they come out and say, hey, yeah, I did a little bit of that. I had a little hand in that. I'm starting to have some people ask me for consultation, which is great. Other stuff, content creation, talked about, I think. Personal life, I'm just hoping to do what I said about being more loving, about dreaming big, and, and other people helping. As I say, it is all about having Chris on board, because fundamentally, and this is the sad reality, that marketing is the most important thing. It's really important to have graphics that look good. It's important that when I'm doing a stream to have a graphic that looks good. I mean, the fact that if I try sharing, why can't I share screen? But yeah, you could, I mean, you need to have things look good. Anyway, I hope that this has been informative. I don't have to go right now. So I'm going to offer to answer any related questions, specifically about the reflections or about the future. I will answer in as much detail as I can over the next 5 to 10 minutes. Could I make such a game? Absolutely. But would it be, this is why it behooves me to not just do like, okay, every single idea that I think of, I'm going to make into a game. It behooves me to think, okay, I'm going to put the top 1 in 5 ideas, or 1 in, I need to have a certain threshold of, I'm excited about the game. And honestly, as much as I appreciate people bringing forward ideas for games in general, the limiting factor is, frankly, right now, that final step of getting the game produced, of getting the graphics done, and I want to move more and more towards a state where, hey, here's the Coupell deck. The Coupell deck is 100% done. All the cards are finished. Maybe the box isn't quite finished, but then I can send some cards that are like, hey, here's a finished bunch of cards. I would say, hey, Matt, Ray, are you interested? Is this something that you would actually play, a 2-player cooperative word game? Hey, let's reach out to Rado again, because I know Rado was a big fan of Coupell back in the day, and maybe Rado might also like the new graphics. There's a lot of things to think about there, and setting it up so that the art is in its place, because Kickstarter, more and more, in order to be profitable, I need to get to the point where 1,000 people are backing my Kickstarter. That will be the point where And I hate putting it into raw numbers like this, but fundamentally, when I'm really blessed, again, all my Kickstarters have been successful in that they have funded. And I do have like a solid, when I launch a game, it's like 170, 280. It's like a good number of backers, and I don't want to take that for granted. And every one of you, thank you so much. And even if you're just following me or spreading the word, thank you so much. Like, spreading the word does a lot. Telling other people about it, because maybe Kids of Cataclysm, maybe you hate small, frantic, chaotic card games. Maybe it's not for you. That's totally fair. But maybe you know someone else who is. Maybe you know someone who's into cats. Maybe you know someone who's part of a couple and they would like a 2-player game to play together. Maybe you know someone who's really into word games. And so if you can spread that, then I always really appreciate it. That is the most important thing. And do remember that when there's another Kickstarter, having that £1 pledge, it matters so much. But I need to get to the point where I am doing the work, where I am saying, hey, this is amazing. And it's not like, okay, we need to trust Bez. We need to trust that this is going to eventually look really good. Because clearly, if you bought that, okay, it's got a certain charm, but it's not as nice as it could look. And back when I did the original In a Bind, I mean, if you look at the Kickstarter for that, so it's basically, it isn't that great drawings, and it changed so much when it got to the final cards. But whilst there are some people who did believe in me, whilst there are lots of people who believed in Kitty Cataclysm, I need to get more professional. And that's where I come to my final section, which is my top 3 goals for next year. And each year I'm going to try to look at my goals and say how I did, and then launch 3 goals for next year. So my goals are, firstly, and this is kind of a cheeky way of giving myself 2 goals in one, which might not be a best thing, but firstly, reprint the L deck and Kitty Cataclysm. So this should, if I haven't managed to do this, like something's gone wrong, but I want to reprint it, and I want to make them both a game that I feel like, yeah, I'm really proud of this. I'm happy to show this to John Lewis, to show this to more mass market people, to say, hey, would you be willing to take this? Second goal, my website, a website for the L deck, somewhere where once you've got the L deck, you go to the website and then are like, oh, I would like to play a game that doesn't involve words today. I'd like to play a game that doesn't involve words, that only needs one person to play it. And then you get told about Reassemble, and you get told about Puzzle. Or, maybe you say, okay, we've got 15 players, what should we play? And then you look at the thing, and then it says, okay, you can play Phrasal or you can play Giftable. And there's not much else, sorry. But that would be really nice. And the final thing, to have the book, that's my final goal. So these goals, reprint, website and book, and to a quality of which I can be proud. That wraps up. I guess there aren't any questions. So I guess I've done a good job of covering everything. If you want to find me, I'm stuffbybez.bigcartel.com, where you can still find the stuff that's not sold out. Twitter.com/stuffbybez, I tweet a lot. Instagram.com/stuffbybez. I post my best pictures. Twitch.tv/stuffbybez, where I stream. Facebook.com/thingsbybez is a thing. And stuffbybez@gmail.com is where you can email me. And yeah, great. Thank you for letting me know. To recap, there have been a lot of good things. I'm just going to go through. So Wibble++ sold out, Kitty Cataclysm sold out, Seize the Power signed up, Challenging Structures delayed, Surprise Terror games coming out, Yogi Guru did well, Dice and Ink is now in stock, stickers are now a thing that I have and I'm probably going to continue with going forwards. Streaming is a thing I've done, carrying on. Conventions, I love conventions. I'm hoping we can go back to it soon. Nuremberg, I realize that I need to do more selling stuff to other people, which I've started doing. I need to, on a personal level, and for everyone else, I hope this is a personal lesson, dream big. have realistic expectations, but dream bigger. Show gratitude. I think it's always a good thing if you have the energy to tell people how much you love them and why. Rein in my ego. I need to do this. Maybe you don't need to do this, but I need to rein in the ego and remember it's not always about me. Life has been good. Some stuff has been rubbish. Some stuff has been good. I appreciate everyone. Denim, Jason, Chris, Layla, everyone designing games, everyone backing me, everyone reviewing my stuff. Thank you so much. So we're going to take a while over the LDEC design contest to play with more folk, to play many times so that we are like, yeah, this is definitely the top game, because we want to do that in a thorough way. I'm going to have more LDECs coming out. LDECs, Categorickell, Coupell, and that'll probably be it for the next year. But we might be able to sneak in a mini version for Mickle or Muckle, or we might be able to sneak in we will see what happens. Realistically, it's just going to be the two. We'll have a second edition Kitty Cataclysm, try for the super powers. We will definitely have Plus, hopefully, and that will be the first one in the Tuckbox series, and either that one or my poetry game. And my 3 goals for next year are to reprint L and Kitty Cataclysm, to have the website up for the LDEC. I should write that for the LDEC, and a book for the LDEC. And that is everything. Thank you very much for those hopes. And my final thank yous, as usual, are thank you to everyone who has been watching. Thank you, Alan, Alex, and everyone who popped in, Andrew January, CD, and yeah, it has been lovely. Thank you. And so, yeah, to wrap up, looking forward to hopes and ambitions, it's over to you for this final section. As always, I want to ask everyone to share something that they are looking forward to, what they are hoping for today, the rest of UK Games Expo, or, whatever. And I am personally looking forward to mostly playing Yogi Stock Guru at 2 p.m. I'm really excited about that. There's going to be Jessica Hancock. There's going to be Tom Cauldron and so many people. And so I'm really looking forward to it. So tell me what you're looking forward to. Or is there something that you're looking forward to doing with your home construction? Is there something that you're looking forward to next year when hopefully the pandemic might have passed? Are you looking forward to, playing games together in a pub? And we've got a few people. Thank you, Russ. Looking forward to expos opening again in 2021. That was lovely. Looking forward to more today. I'm loving Virtually Expo. Yeah. Andrew January said, thank you very much. It was a good stream. Looking forward to working on a newish game design and looking forward to my day off work tomorrow. That sounds like good stuff. I'm happy that you've all got things that you can enjoy. A virtual expo in Tabletopia today, working out the basics really. I think, as we've decided, making a card game is actually super easy, and you can watch. I think you did well. Please share, spread the word if you've enjoyed this. My next streams are today at 12 to 4, and then tomorrow at 10. If you go to my Twitter, you will find the link that shows where all my future streams are going to be, and I'm going to share my link. And thank you very much, Andrew January, for helping me make this link a bit better. So if you follow that link, it will show you all my stuff that is planned. Basically, at 12, I'm going to be playing Fable with Bez Ely and Jason Hodgson. Both of them are improvisational artists. One is a comedian, one is a musician. It should be a lot of fun. 2 p.m, Yogi Stock Guru, the economic subversion. We've got some new rule tweaks since Bez Day. And slight simplification. Hopefully that will be lots of fun. 4 p.m. winding down with some quick word games, and then we've got tomorrow at 10 a.m. an intro to LARP with Lolvi. Tuesday at 10 a.m. a debrief of Virtually Expo with Alan Paul at 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. because now I do a weekly thing at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, so it's Tip Top Tabletop Tuesdays. So thank you very much. The only thing left to do is to say bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Just for now, and there'll be more streams, like there'll be, a thing at 12. But for now, bye-bye.